Awesome. Seeing things filling up pretty quickly.
People rolling in.
Welcome, everybody. Yeah. I think we give people a couple minutes to get in as we give them a chance to get in before we get started. Welcome, Bianca, Kate. Great to
Thanks
see you
so
guys.
much for having me. Good to see you too.
Looking forward to it. While everybody's filing in, can you drop where you're from in the chat? I'd love to see how far across the world we've gone when we're doing these webinars. It's always interesting. We see people from all over.
Where are you based, Rob?
I'm based in Toronto, Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful.
Normally out of the Caribbean, but took a little jaunt up north. See Yusuf coming from the
Caribbean
USA.
is
Yeah.
definitely a different spot. I'm close.
Yeah.
I was in the Caribbean. I'm like 1 hour flight away from the Caribbean
Oh,
on the
not too bad.
Colombian side. Yeah.
Ah, lovely.
I have to say I'm not traveling there as often as I should. It's a bit of a shame.
It's okay. It's okay. I live there and I don't get to the beach as often as I should.
Yeah.
We're seeing people from USA, Germany, Serbia, Ukraine. Love it. We're really spreading across the globe. Awesome. 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 So, yes, David, that's a great question and most pressing on most people's minds when it comes to a webinar. This session will be recorded and we'll share it with you guys afterwards. Michelle Taylor in BC, Canada. All right.
Kate, how about you? Are you
New Jersey, and I'm jealous of the
New
people
Jer-
from Caribbean and Colombia because New Jersey in winter is not as nice, unfortunately. But the summer is fantastic, so I can't complain now.
Yes, yes. The weather has been pretty good except for the smog. But
Yes, yeah, a week ago it was challenging. Like we were neighbors with smoke from Toronto to New York, like everywhere.
yeah, the wildfires were crazy. But we aren't here to talk about wildfires. I know you guys are here to hear what we've discovered about, when we looked at these 100 AI companies. So I want to get things started here. First, we're going to start really with a short quiz. And just to kind of get the sense of the room, have you guys experienced any of these things? So are you seeing the quality of your leads really just kind of tanking? Are you stuck with this marketing FOMO experience where you're not sure, there's all these tools. What do I bet on? What do I invest in? That cost per lead you're seeing keeps rising and nothing you do is bringing it down. And then, of course, every 3 months, you're like, everything has changed. Some things are better, some things are worse. How do I keep up with it? If that's you, if that sounds like you, if one or more of those things sound like you, put a plus in the chat for me and we'll keep a track on that, but we'll keep it rolling. Today, we've got a really packed agenda, really kind of two key parts. We're going to talk about the traffic and then we're going to talk about the pipeline. And really, we'd like you guys to leave with one, a really clearer read on where your funnel is actually leaking. So you know and can build a framework to prioritize what to fix first. And then a few tactics that you can take away right after this webinar. Go and check it out. Go and see if you can make some positive improvements right away. So today, who do we have with us? You've got me, Robert DeGans. I'm a biz dev lead at 42DM. Got over 15 years of digital marketing experience and growth marketing experience. With us is the ever popular Bianca Wilk. She is head of product marketing at Chili Piper. Chili Piper is a demand conversion platform trusted by nearly 2,000 companies, including big names like Meta, Verizon, Gong, and even Monday.com. It sits at a critical point in the funnel, the moment between demand creation and pipeline, and that turns that website interest into qualified booked meetings through routing, scheduling, and even AI-powered conversion. Bianca leads the event and product marketing at Chili Piper, where she works closely with the data behind how buyers behave once they arrive on our website and what separates the teams that convert the interest from the ones that lose it. Her focus today in this webinar is the discipline of conversion itself, those practices and systems that turn anonymous traffic into named revenue-generating pipeline. And of course, we've got Kate Vasilenko, CEO and co-founder of 42DM. Kate has over 2 decades of experience in marketing. She's a member of the CMO Alliance, former Forbes Agency Council member, expert in B2B GTM, and has delivered growth for hundreds of 42DM's clients, both big and small. So with that, I'm actually going to hand it over to Kate to take you guys through part of this webinar. Okay.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you for the pluses in the chat. They tell exactly the same story I would like to start with. A few weeks ago, at the event for AI infrastructure companies during the New York Tech Week, I was talking to a lot of CMOs and growth leaders from exactly this market. And honestly, the conversations were very much similar to each other because everybody was talking about the changes. That changes are happening every day, and a lot of them are feeling overwhelmed, and fairly so. Like, we as CMOs are the front line of those changes. New channels, new buyer's journey, new AI surfaces that our customers now use and research their products. And underneath of all of that, this constant fear of missing out on what actually works. Because behind the shiny new things, we as marketers, practical leaders, need to generate the pipeline, not just test the fancy things. Because of course we all know we need to test new, but how do we know what really moves the revenue? Do we have the right data even? The only data most of the marketers rely on today is our own data and the data from a couple of competitors we're tracking, the closest ones. And that's pretty much it. And that's not the personal challenge. That's how the market was built for years, if not decades. But times changed, and the speed of change requires a very different approach right now. AI and social moved the funnel to the dark. So we don't know, like, even our first party data are not transparent to us. We don't know what works and what moves the needle. By research us on ChatGPT, on Claude, on AI overviews, in communities, in LinkedIn, and they come out very well prepared with decision 70% baked. Bianca, do you remember the last time when this shift that big happened?
I know. I've talked to a few people about this recently at a conference, and like, I mean, in the last few years, for sure, not as huge, right? I've heard people reference like 2008,
Yes,
and 2008 was like
2011,
more than
yeah.
2 decades ago. I know we have across ourselves, we have like so many years of experience. I've heard Rob mention 15 years and you 20 years, and I have also like more than a decade, right? But like, not in our lifetime still, right?
Yes, the last shift probably that big was with the digitalizing of economy and social media appeared like more like as a marketing channel. And like every CMO right now, like is forced to a very different like agenda. Like we just discussed with you, Bianca, like our profession changed in a year. We are now like marketing AI architects, not CMOs. We need to master digital workforce, AI agent together with employees. We need to lead and become AOs like strategist with like years of experience. Even AO didn't exist like 2 years ago. So that is an interesting and challenging but very exciting time. And that is what always excites me as a marketer. This constant changes of the environment, especially when we are talking about frontier markets. And so, like, again, everybody's asking the question, what moved the needle? So we stopped guessing and start researching. We asked a simple question. How did top AI companies actually go to market? Not what they say about in their conferences and blogs, what their public evident go-to-market signals actually showed that they really did. So that is what we will be talking about today. So, and why, you will ask, why AI infrastructure companies? Why do we need to care about them? Because they are on the frontier. They are under the heaviest pressure on the planet to move first on everything. The investors push them to be AI native, dark funnel native, whatever other word we invent next, they should be native first. And that means they test first. And that means that we can see how those tests come out as the results. And that is a fantastic opportunity for others to learn and to discover. So we audited 100 AI infrastructure companies. 95 of them were eligible, and 88 we found some evidence of revenue data. So we analyzed from Some of the companies were small, like 300K, or some of them were really big, 800 million ARR. But we're not talking about giants. We excluded all the OpenAI and Claudes of planet Earth to talk about realistic things. So for each one, we gathered more than 40 public go-to-market signals. That means we also defined them by different segments. We looked at them in 4 ways: young versus established, product-led versus sales-led, what they position around, and who they sell to. So in total, we have a lot of segments to analyze, and the recipes of the growth that we see there, they are very different, and that's an exciting news. So let's go. Okay, do not get scared, please. We didn't want to
zooming in with my eyes.
Yeah, like I don't have the glasses, but definitely that requires some. So no worries, we will uncover all the data in detail that are important. But that picture is just for you to understand how many signals were analyzed, and that some of them are really like impacting, and some of them impacting even negatively. The biggest, the dark one you see, this is the funniest one. This is the funding level. So for every, like, we excluded it then from any equation, but we showed it in the first slide for any CEO who is present here. So the biggest correlation between the growth in revenue is the amount of funding US CEO raised. That means that pretty obvious, you have money to spend, you grow faster. But for each next cycle, you need to raise more. And in order to raise more, you need this go-to-market machine behind you to bring you the evidence that you can scale, so investors will reward you with another funding round. So all of the other signals, they are those go-to-market signals that move beyond the funding and that really show what moves with revenue and what not. One honest take for you to understand before we look into numbers. Correlation is not causation, and I don't want to pretend it is. Some of these signals grow because revenue grows. But when something moves with revenue across 100 companies, it really deserves our attention. So treat that as rather diagnosis than a promise of hypergrowth. Let's move forward. So let's start from the top. This is like whole data set. Everybody together. What moves with revenue? The top go-to-market signal across every segment for every different motion is the weirdest one, LinkedIn company followers. It moves with revenue with 0.69, and that is one of the strongest correlations. This is an interesting additional signal for us that LinkedIn is big on B2B and LinkedIn is big on tech. And LinkedIn is much more important than a lot of us want it to be. The other layer is trust layer. And that is a composition of different indexes that we merge together to see the company with the lens of the buyer. Then goes the authority block, referring domains, non-branded organic traffic share, and traffic volume, domain rating, and total traffic, both around 0.51, I think. And the last one, but not least and very important, this is AI mentions that already correlate with revenue at 0.41, which for a channel that didn't exist 2 years ago is a heavy impact and really interesting one to observe and to consider. So should we consider that the recipe is simple? Let's do just LinkedIn and build the authority and we are done. We will have the hyper growth. Unfortunately not. We need to dive deeper. So let's move on. But before we break it into the details in different segments, I'd love to introduce what we mean by trust layer and trust and authority layer combined. That those are like 4 indexes merged together, weighted. They are external recognition, like awards you win or analysts review, then independent media validation and independent validation beyond your like own proofs, customer proof, and company reach like LinkedIn. So those 4, like as a composite, as the joint venture, Really, you can see them across all the levels. Trust matters. And that is because the formula of pipeline in 2026 actually didn't change a lot since the early days of go-to-market. Next slide. And this is the formula. Our pipeline today is visibility multiplied by trust. Very easy. Pipeline equals visibility times trust. Visibility gets you seen, and we all understand that. But trust gets you believed. And notice it's a multiplication, not addition. You can be everywhere, but if your trust layer leaks, you will get 0 into pipeline. And that's pretty clear, I think, for all of us. If you have bad reviews, if you have negative press, or you are invisible anywhere and you don't have any customer proof, you can build fantastic campaigns as marketers. But the minute they land and start researching you, you will lose them. And that is exactly what we want to avoid here. So the trust layer should be a very important component of anything.
Kate,
you are thinking of. Yep.
That's just like, I just wanted to comment that just really resonates with me because, and also I understand now why LinkedIn is so high up on that ranking, both for smaller companies and even large companies. Because who do we trust these days? We do not trust like a company blog post, or we do not trust like a random, Reddit comment from an anonymous person, right? We trust people. People trust people. So it just like very much makes sense that that LinkedIn is getting stronger.
It's very true. It's digitalized human layer of validation. When you know the people, you can connect with them, you understand those are real people, you met them somewhere, and you validate the digital proofs behind them through LinkedIn as connecting networks. So yes, this is exactly the connection point in the digital era. So now the formula itself never changed, but with motion, what combines invisibility and what trust means for different stages of the companies and for different segments is very different. So let's dive in. And let's start with the youngest companies. So we analyzed separately young companies that were born after the COVID, after 2022. And here's what trap they are in. And that's pretty much all the time about young companies, especially if they are entering more mature markets. The only playbook a young company can copy is the one mature company wrote, which is honestly not the best recipe for growth for them, because a lot of the systems that were built with for years are not accessible for them yet. That doesn't mean they will not gonna get to those systems. It means that when they need to grow this quarter, probably building the whole SEO mission will not gonna get them there. And even AO requires a very holistic approach of building. So when you want to move fast, you need to think more like what is accessible for you and your stage. And first of all, you need to think of the minimum MVP of your trust layer for a young company. And that means a very simple things that every of us can like do tomorrow if we still didn't have that. Put the logos on your front page. If you have 2 or 3 customers even, put those logos, put those success stories, make them visible as much as possible. Then you need to think of how to put your message out there. And the only thing that is available for you is paid, because unfortunately, the other things will take time to build. And this is not a budget decision. It's like survival decision. You need to make the distribution, and paid distribution is the easiest one to turn on. So that is why you see the correlation between paid social, and you see the correlation between display and the revenue. But you also have one currency that you need to utilize to fullest. And this currency is your like founder's profile, LinkedIn profile, and the network they built through the years and the trust they built through the years, because this is 2-in-1 thing. LinkedIn profile of the founder is both a trust layer, because this only the person is behind this company. Company is too young to be trusted as a brand itself, as called it as brand itself. No brand. The founder is the one the people will trust to, but also the founder is the one who will be reaching those people. So the founder is both the channel and the message. And it is very important to utilize it to full. Now let's flip to the established companies. And let's flip pretty much everything from the perspective of how we view that. Because established companies are not built with one channel. Established companies should engineer compounding visibility. It's engineering the system of growth, what got established companies where they are and what got them to the next stage. The clock that punished you in the beginning now finally starts to pay off. You will already have some domain rating, you will have the referring domains. Those things start to move with revenue. And AO starts to pay off, and authority compounds. And of course, LinkedIn is the only one that stays through the whole time, supported with the trust as a composite layer. So if you are mature, the job is different. You are not picking single channel anymore. You are engineering the system that compounds with efforts, ideally unproportional to your growth. Let's move next. Next split, product-led growth and hybrid versus pure sales-led. The companies who rely on outbound as their currency and the mantra. So we wanted to show that maybe that is not the only thing they should rely on. We all know that, of course, PLG, when you can try the product and it costs you nothing as a user and buyer to try it, to experience it, then product carries a lot of the growth potential inside it. And the only thing you really need to build is like organic distribution trust. Trust for them to understand that if they will start investing in it, it will bring more as a return. On the other hand, sales-led organizations do not have the luxury of giving the product a try. So when we are taking the meeting right now, as any of you are buyers as well, when the company is outreaching you or like they are sales-led, that means you need to take the meeting. And why do you do that? Like, you will do that only in case you really need that. You check them, and yes, there is a potential match there. And that means that you need to build this information available for them, and they will do their own research before the meeting. And they will research your LinkedIn. That is why for sales-led organizations, the LinkedIn carry the heaviest correlation. So if you are sales-led, your salespeople are on LinkedIn, you should be there, and your company should be presented in the best possible way, as well as your employees. Then we have the thing that in a lot of the cases, sales-led organizations abandon, and those are organic traffic, AI mentions, and media validation. But because these companies doesn't have the luxury of trying, okay, that is a great question. Yep, I'd love to hear. So, but because you don't have this luxury of giving the product a try before, you need to build the evidence that this product is great. Like that, even before trying, you can buy that and everything will be fantastic. That is why it takes much more efforts here from the marketing perspective. Let's go. Just two quick examples, how those recipes come together. On the left, we have a young developer-focused PLG company with small revenue of 120 mil. So pretty successful one. Developers-led, they built fantastic technical layer of recognition. You can try them, you can see them on GitHub. They're building fantastic. And there is evidence of everything they do. So they have a great technical validation and trust layer built. And because the product is fantastic, it carries the growth. On the right, it's a little bit smaller company, sales-led of 20 million, still a very decent size, I think. And they build both the trust and the visibility, and they build the recognition. They have Forbes AI 50. They understand the founder actually do the heavy lifting in a lot of the things. So the founder audience is 56,000. And that is what breaks through the trust and visibility, carries both things. The customers, the leadership, and the outside validation carries the trust instead of the real product that could be tried. Nice. Okay, fantastic. Now we are in the audience segments, and we wanted to compare as much different audiences possible. So on the left side, you have enterprises in the left side of the ring. On the right side of the ring, you have developers-led technologies. Very different audiences and very different recipes for growth. For enterprise buyer, recognition and recognition. Those are like the things that you need to build before getting into the hand. Recognition and the evidence that you already work with the companies like them. If you want to get the enterprise, you need to have 2 enterprises before. Through your investors, through whatever, like nobody cares. But targeting enterprise takes 1 enterprise on your logo on your website at least. Then you need to build the recognition so any enterprise buyer, by making the decision, will be safe, not sorry. They want this external analyst recognition, Gartner, whatever you can do, to actually make sure that they will not be fired after making a bad decision. But the unexpected layer that all just started to contribute to your growth invisibly is something that is happening behind the closed doors. In the rooms we were never a part of, like buying committees, discussing, making their own due diligence, now use actively any AI like assistance they can. Would it be ChatGPT or would it be Claude? They will do the due diligence. It will be HR. If you are selling to HR, it will be financial guy. It will be also CEO who will check on you. And building this visibility is becoming an important part of the enterprise go-to-market as well, beyond the traditional recognition and success stories. For the developer guys, everything is clear. Nobody sells to developers except of developers. They will sell the product to themselves by themselves. They want to be very self-determined in their decisions. They do not want any salesperson near them. They want to try, they want to check, they want to read. So your technical layer of proof, documentation, anything that you can get there to prove the value and to explain, this is the only audience where it's appreciated still, even though half of this thing should now happen through Claude and Codex.
I have some background in like developer products and selling to developers, and like the amazing thing about selling to developers is they become your best salespeople.
Yes.
Because if they love you, they will take it to their boss and be like, if you do not implement this tool, I am gonna quit and go to go to some other company. So like, yes, you need less salespeople if you're selling to developers, but make sure you get those developers on your side. Otherwise, your sales team diminishes.
I totally agree with you here. They are the best ambassadors you can get, and also the worst critics. So don't get on their bad side, only on good one. So if we are talking about the examples here, again, 2 illustrations. A young sales-led platform selling to enterprises broadly, they build the foundation of recognition through case studies, serial founder, and the credibility steady visible. No self-service adoption to lean on, so customer stories make the heavy lifting. And the mature developer-focused platform, you see the number of GitHub stars they reach. So they definitely know who they talk to, and they definitely know where they will be tracked. So beyond that, a huge amount of AI citations and organic traffic, again, understanding that this technical documentation explanation layer should be built, otherwise this audience will just miss you out. They are not buying marketing messages, they are buying the heavy truth about your code. So here's the whole study on one slide. Everyone buys trust and everyone builds on visibility. It's just proofs change from stage to segment. And that is the slide you can definitely have a snapshot with, like and screenshot, but we will again share the presentation afterwards. So when we're talking about the young companies, pay for what you can't earn yet, and build the initial, very thin but available trust layer for those who will go into this funnel and will be attracted with your distribution through paid advertising. Then, when we are talking about established, compound what the clock already built. This is your time for building AEO, SEO, anything that will compound the growth. PLG, trust answers what product can't. So the trust layer should cover all the things that cannot be discovered on their own with the product. Sales led, nothing to try, so somebody else should do the heavy lifting. A lot of work to do to show that everybody else is buying this. So you need to jump on the call. Enterprise, recognition attracts similarity, but do not forget the AEO, because it will be behind the closed doors when your salesperson will be waiting for the reply and deal one. And developers, build the things so they can find you, analyze you, and love you by themselves. Do not throw the salespeople on them. They don't love it. So find your box. That's your diagnostic for today. And this is the screenshot slide again. Go ahead. Now let's go to the next. Okay, we weren't an agency if we wouldn't share some things that we already tried and built, because we are not just the research company. We're the company that run the go-to-market engines. So here's two very different examples and very different go-to-market solutions that we offered to different companies based on their stage, on the target audience they target, and this go-to-market motion they run on. On the left, you see the young product-led platform for software developers. So young means zero organic. They are fantastic. They're building incredible and amazing product, which not a lot of people know, but who know, developer loves them. So for them, they need both to build the distribution and to build the trust layer. And we decided to offer them the webinar program, because this is exactly 2-in-1. And we offered unconventional channel for the developers as the paid advertising channel. It was Meta. And you wouldn't guess, but we brought the most relevant conversions out of this campaign. 250 plus registrations. They never could get any near with paid search they run. And the quality of the conversions and the relevance of the job titles and everything was fantastic. They got 5 opportunities right after the webinar, and it's just counting. And the cost of opportunity was very reasonable. So again, building 2-in-1 and going not as conventional things that everybody does sometimes really help to get through all of this noise we are in. On the other side, mature sales-led organization that relied on outbound for their whole life. Fantastic, they built the brand, they built the product, they just never untapped the inbound, the opportunities behind inbound. So as soon as we put the foundation out there for their AEO, for their SEO, in just 2 months, their number of opportunities, not leads, opportunities, increased by 300%. And we are not talking like we are jumping from 1 to 3. No, it's double digits. And that is one of 2 or 3 right now channels for them to generate opportunities. So different motions, different stages of the company, and different companies they sell to. And motions and recipes for growth should be also very different here. And then comes the next slide, please. So I know that for you as a companies who are present here today, you also need those unique validations and findings that will drive your go-to-market strategy to the next level. And this is exactly what we are offering here today. Every market has its own version of these numbers. So before we release the whole benchmark study publicly, we're offering a go-to-market review for every company that will make the form submission today. And we will review your positioning, your channels, your trust signals, and benchmark it against the study we just conducted. Once the study goes public, it becomes a paid engagement. So take your chance, and I would love to meet with you and uncover those amazing opportunities that you have to scale and growth. And here comes the uncomfortable part. Everything I just showed you, will get people to say hi, but we're not gonna get them on a meeting with you. We need one more missing element, the fifth element, in our case, the third element. And that is why when I am passing my word to Bianca, Bianca, please uncover what this element is about.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, this was very mysterious, very mysterious. So yeah, I think we talked a little bit about like the decades of experience, and I don't know if I've worked across like many different parts of marketing, from even a little bit in sales, and now I lead product marketing and events. But I think a big part of I think most of the work that we as marketers do, right, has been about getting people to the website,
Yep.
right? Like we run campaigns, we run content and ads, and it all points to this one thing: getting the right person to show up. And I think this is what's been frustrating me the most over and over recently, is that when people do show up, maybe I don't know, maybe they check out the comparison page that I've spent a lot of effort in building, or they lingered suspiciously long on the pricing page, or they open a case study, right? Like they've been looking for a reason to trust the company I've been marketing for, right? So they are qualified and ready to some degree at least, but then they close the tab.
Yeah.
Right? They just leave. And this is exactly the problem that I want to focus on today, because Kate, you've outlined this perfectly, right? Like one big hard part of our work in marketing in 2026 is getting people to show up, right? It is getting people to engage to some degree. But I think the missing element that you mentioned as well, Kate, is what happens after they do, right? What happens after they show up on your website. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit of a story. I was in New Mexico recently chatting with one of our customers, Jeremy. Jeremy is the VP of Growth Marketing at a company, a cybersecurity company. They're called NetSPI. And he was telling me like this amazing story. He was so proud of it. They launched a new ABM campaign, and it was just amazing. Like, he was telling me about this, like the kind of work that everyone is dreaming about. Like they increased inbound by a lot. Like it's been, they were driving traffic. It's been such an amazing sort of result of what they've been doing. But sadly, at some point, that all that good traffic that they were generating was not translating into meetings, right? And he was just like, we've got all this good stuff going, right? Like, but with Jeremy's words, and we're just not booking it, right? They were more of a sales-led company. So it's not a traffic problem, right? It's not a demand problem. They proved there was demand because people were interested. They ended up on their website. The hard part, they did the hard part, but pipeline was just slipping away in the last moment. And I think what was happening to Jeremy is not uncommon, right? It happens to a lot of us. That last inch is getting harder, which is why I think the job of the website really changed recently, right? And by recently, ever since like AI has been really exploding in our faces, and sorry for the expression, right? Like it's just the website has a different role. It used to teach, right? It used to be 100% not 100%, but like in a big degree optimized to explain, to teach. Now people learn somewhere else, right? Like people, you've said this as well, Kate, right? They learn inside Claude and ChatGPT and the AI overviews long before they reach your website. And I was checking out some research around this, and apparently when an AI summary appears in search, click-through rates to any website just roughly halves.
Love it.
Very, very challenging times for SEO strategists. Yes.
It's the hardest job these days. I feel like it's really the hardest jobs, and yeah, respect to all the folks that do it these days. So yeah, we all have to deal with that consequence. There's fewer visitors to our website. However, I also see it as a good thing in a way, because the people that do show up, the leads that that come to our websites, they are further along, right? They understand something about our product, our solution. They feel the problem more urgently. That's why I'm saying that the website, the role of the website changed, because I think it now has to convert. The visitor who arrived on your website is more valuable than ever, and we cannot let them leave before them taking an action. So, Kate, I took your equation. It was
Fair
beautiful.
enough.
However, I added something to it without asking.
Point taken.
So, my point is, of course, visibility gets you seen 100%. Trust gets you believed, right? You need to be the authority on the topic that you're speaking to, right? But together, yes, they get you a raised hand, but a raised hand is not pipeline yet. There's this third element, there's conversion. And again, like you said, like multiplication, it's not a sum, because if you sum up those three, it could be still zero, right? So yeah, the first two will not save you if you don't get your leads, your website visitors to convert. So yeah, if your website needs to convert demand into pipeline more vigilantly than before, what does that actually look like day to day? Next slide, if you may, Rob.
Sure.
So I think it really comes down to three things. I think the first is figuring who showed up. And in this AI, again, AI is absolutely amazing, and we can do so much more now. And there's so many tools out there these days that help you figure out who showed up on your website. Chili Piper is one of them, right? Like we help you identify the accounts that come to your website. But there's like really so many tools. Thanks. I didn't say that. You said that.
Yeah.
So then when you do know what accounts are coming through your website, you can recognize who are the ones that are really a fit for your organization, right? Like I'm going to assume that everyone does like a good job, like outlining their ICPs and really investing in that. As a product marketer, that's sort of like at the heart of everything we do. So the second is if you do know who the folks are that are most important, get in front of them, right? That's the second element, the engagement. Maybe that's that can be different things. Maybe that's like a special offer, maybe like a banner with an announcement for folks that are lingering on your pricing page. Maybe that's a scheduling widget right there and then, right? Just in getting that engagement. And the last thing is actually getting them to book a meeting, especially for the sales-led companies, but I would say also for the hybrid folks to consider. Like, I don't know exactly your numbers, Kate, but I imagine there's fewer and fewer purely PLG companies.
That's exactly the reason we united the segments. We identified less than 10 pure PLG, and most of the companies are in hybrid.
It's crazy, right? Like, I mean, they still exist. They still exist, but it's just fewer and fewer. Yeah. So yeah, just finishing the thought here. I think it's just super important to understand, like to read those signals, right? Like who it is, what they're looking at. Are we talking to them already? And once you read that, right, you can act on it while you're still on the page instead of making people wait around.
Yep.
Okay, so a few real numbers, because we also did some benchmarking and analysis, which our benchmarks report is not live yet, but we're gonna share it probably sometimes next week or the following week. And we looked at form submissions, so forms that people fill when they're ready to take a meeting, right? Like amazing signal of readiness to, if not yet buy, to understand more about the product, right? So we looked at 6 million form submissions only this year across 1,100 companies. Some good number. I think that's a pretty representative.
Yes, much more than 100. I totally agree.
So yeah, stay tuned with the benchmarks report. That it's gonna have some really good insights. I'm gonna spoil a few things. So a few things that jumped out. A company that doesn't offer any way to schedule a meeting right when the form is being filled or right after the form has been filled only books maybe 30% of meetings, right? So if someone, they're interested in a meeting, they fill out the form and then crickets, and maybe they get, maybe they do it at like 9 p.m. on a Friday and only hear back to schedule a meeting on Monday, maybe on a Monday afternoon because the salesperson has been busy. That's absolutely unacceptable. Which the reason for the 30%, right? If there's no instant way to book a meeting, you're kind of stuck with your numbers there. However, when you let someone book the moment they submit, conversion climbs to 45%. Of course, like for the companies that have an option to do a live call, it jumps again to 53%. I know that not everyone has that option, but still 45% is already such a huge jump. Like, it looks like 50, oh, what is 15%? It is a lot for your pipeline. Yeah, another aspect is also how you route those meetings, because okay, you can have like a scheduling widget, you can have a scheduler just right there and then, but then you need to make it very, very easy for people to actually book that meeting at the time that suits them best, ideally the same day or the next day, right? So flexible round robin rules to really make sure that your AEs and your sales team is, the meeting is distributed fairly for your team, of course, but also very flexible for the prospect to just not have to wait. And again, your numbers will climb. And again, I just want to highlight this. Like, this is from the same traffic, right? Like, you have the same marketing spend, you have the same traffic, and the only thing that changed was how long you made people wait.
And this like additional conversion that you can get from just being more accessible will actually improve the efficiency of your budget and free some money to experiment, to do something like new that is not as like proven yet. Running the efficiency where you're already succeed is extremely important question. And again, I totally agree, like, sorry to jump in, but like with my experience as a buyer, like even when you book the doctor's appointment, you're not going to somebody who offers you a meeting in 3 months. Like by that time, probably the problem, like there are big chances to either problem will be resolved or resolved not in a good way. So like waiting is not a good thing. Your lead will be caught with somebody who doesn't expect to be wait, and that's like very important.
Your competitor is just gonna do it faster.
Yes, they will just book in 5 minutes, and that's it. Yep.
Yeah. So I know there are folks here from different types of companies. You Kate also addressed like some startup folks, some enterprise folks. So I wanted to add this note because we did look at the 6 million fills and we saw a little bit of differences, but really conversion had no like clear correlation with funding stage or size of the company. Maybe mid-sized companies book a little bit better. Some of the largest enterprise companies convert worse, probably because of like the scale that, of the handoffs and all of that. But just to say that conversion isn't a function of your size, your stage, or your brand. It's a function of the friction you leave in. I really like that sentence, even though it's a little bit complex. So it's not necessarily who you are, it's the flow that you build. And the optimistic part here is that's what you control, right? That's the part that you have full control over. So speaking of things we can control as marketers, amazing. So many things we just measure by, you know, um, putting our finger up to the wind and seeing where it blows. This is the part that we control. If we want our website to be best in class in converting, it comes down to those two things. The first one is speed, and the number here is kind of wild, so wild that I need to triple check it sometimes. But
I'm not sure.
if you
Those are
get a
good
lead,
numbers. Yep.
it's right. Thanks, Kate. If you get to a lead within 5 minutes instead of 30, you convert 21 times more of them. Not 20% more, 21 times more. And this is exactly why we need to respond in really like the first few seconds, if possible, while someone is still interested. Yeah, because when someone books like right at the peak of the interest, they will actually follow through, right? We want them to follow through, because those meetings that happen really the same day or the next day, those are those meetings that people show up to. I probably could have added a whole new slide about like re-engagement, because I think there's also like a huge opportunity, right? Because all the no-shows, all the meetings that like almost happened, right? Those are still good, warm leads, and we need to also consider putting in more effort into re-engagement. And if like again, I think there's a conversation of who does that, like marketing versus sales, right? Like there's a whole a conversation I don't want to even get into in case we have some sales folks in here. But I do think that re-engagement can be like now with AI more of an automated process with human in the loop, but also something that marketing can really invest in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just to finish talking about the two levers, I think the second lever that we in marketing can pull and we're fully in control of is effort, right? How much effort is needed for that lead to actually get to finish filling out the form, right? Because every extra field, every extra step in a form or in the process, right, is a chance for them to, second guess it and just drop off. So making it as easy as possible for people to talk to you, and not now that we have like account identification and the anonymization tools, right? Like we don't have to be so worried anymore about getting spam meetings, because I think that's a big concern as well for like the sales team and how we as marketing serve the sales team, right? I think there's a lot of automations now available, a lot of ways that we can prevent we can do a spam check, right? So yeah, making it just as easy as possible for people to talk to you. I was looking at some like conversion data as well, and I saw this number that I thought was really good. 71% of teams said that conversion is their top priority. Amazing. I was like, yes, conversion is top priority. Everyone gets it. I love it. And then it turns out that 20% were actually testing to improve it. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm not criticizing everyone because I've also been in that place where just like, oh yeah, this website works. Let's wait to see what happens, right? We need to test. We need to constantly improve. And yeah. And there's also like I think it was a line in this report that I read, like AI has not eliminated the funnel leaks. It just exposed where they already existed. So yeah, there's also some stats from our data set. 40% of qualified buyers abandon forms before booking, and a third of them time out at the scheduler. So again, we're doing so much effort to drive this traffic. We're really investing time and money, and then we just get a form abandoned. And it doesn't show up that easily, right? You cannot see it necessarily like in a pipeline funnel dashboard. It's just like this absence that
Yes, something that never happened. You cannot like have the evidence of something that never happened.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I want to talk about NetSPI again. I hope you're all as involved in their success as I am because Jeremy's story really, really warmed my heart. But how did the story end, right? Like, did they manage to solve their challenge? Well, long story short, they have found the leak, right? They recognize that okay, we're missing the last part, which is what happens at the contact us form. They have a contact us form, and they they did the switch. They added an instant booking option. And I'm sharing this with the permission of Jeremy. Originally, they booked 1 and 2 meetings from that contact us form. 1 and 2 meetings. It's not bad, but it's like for the amount of traffic that they've built, it was just not enough. When they added instant booking overnight, it went to over 80%, the best they have ever seen. And also, additionally, the time from when the form was filled to when the meeting happened also dropped. Like it just the time got much shorter. It dropped by 63%. Again, nothing happened, nothing changed about the traffic or the spend, right? Like all their ABM campaigns and everything they've built were running the same, but it heavily increased thanks to that instant booking and scheduling and routing. And they just stopped making their buyers that were already ready to buy. They stopped making them wait. Yeah, so your best visitors, I guess that's some of my final thoughts here, right? Like your best visitors are already somewhere on your website, a blog post, maybe a pricing page, maybe a docs page. But what happens when a ready buyer shows up and it's after hours, right? And you don't have like the bandwidth to actually talk to them at that time. Yeah, if your answer is well, nothing happens, right? You have found your leak. So now on your website, you really need to actively think about several things. I think it's a few, maybe 2 things that you need to know: how much intent a visitor shows, and whether you know them or not, right? So,
Yep.
for example, if there's high intent, there's high intent, and you know who they are, give them a scheduling link, scheduling widget, have them schedule a meeting with you right away, right? You want to get them into a meeting. If they are high intent but anonymous, again, get a human in front of them as well, fast. If there's medium intent, well, there's other solutions, right? Like chat AI, right? Like I think more and more companies now are investing it in an AI chat solution just to replace a little bit of that human touch. But for low intent, for medium intent folks, it just makes so much sense. And you can, it's not the same experience as with Claude. You can, with your own AI chat, you can really, you can really control the narrative, and it's a great experience on your website. So AI is sort of like a traffic controller these days, and your rep is the deal closer. And that's how you're not replacing anyone. I feel like in the industry now we're all worried about being replaced. I think if you build it that way, you're just making sure the right visitors meet the right response at the right moment.
You actually amplifying the work that were never done, and you're making it bring you the business, the work for SDRs to communicate, the work for Es to close.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess my last question is like, how much of the visibility and trust that you have worked so hard to build are actually converting, and how much is leaking in the moment after they click? And I think that gap between intent and action really costs a lot. So that would be the number that I would focus on in 2026.
Totally agree. If all of those elements in the formula work just right, I think a lot of the go-to-market leaders would enjoy much more prosperous numbers in pipeline this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bianca, I want to say, as working in sales, we all know the sort of age-old saying, speed to lead and time kills all deals, but this really put it into a quantifiable number that you can really see the difference. I had no idea that it would make such a difference to call people back or get in touch with them within 5 minutes would make such a major impact in conversion. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'll send you that benchmarks report as well, Rob.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, ladies and gents, we're almost out of time. Happy to open the floor for like maybe 1 or 2 questions, but thank you, Bianca and Kate, for sharing all of your expertise and all of that insight. Guys, as you can see, that a lot of information went into this production. So let's give them thanks there. We have an anonymous attendee saying, how much do AI citations contribute to revenue in sales-led companies? Ooh, I think this is for either Kate or Bianca. Who wants to take this one?
Maybe I will take that. And if you go to the, go a little bit back to the presentation, I think we have this number, but maybe I'm wrong. Then we will share that after the call. But what was a surprise for me that the number was even like,
This one?
Yep. 0.61 AI mentions. Citations is a little bit lower, but not drastically lower. So when we are talking about sales-led organizations, because when people are do not want to go to random meeting, they want to understand what's happening, why should they attend, do they have the reason, they will consult with the AI assistants, and now those AI mentions really start to pay off. So did we cover the question here? Maybe additional questions?
I believe so, yeah. 0.61 correlation to AI citations to leads. Anthony Kapitansky is saying thank you. So thank you everyone for your time. Bianca, Kate, it was a pleasure. Look out for the follow-ups in your email about the deck that we shared. And yeah, I'm sure if you want to find out more from Bianca about their research that's concluding shortly, I'm sure she'll be happy to share it.
Thank you so
much. Answer any other questions offline.
Yeah, we are waiting all the data from this research, and again, it will be a new, probably even idea to have the next webinar when it will be reversed. You will be sharing the data. We will be contributing with the some of the practical insights. So thank you all so much. You were a fantastic audience today. You will get all the information from today's webinar in the upcoming days.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, folks.
Bye, everyone.